things. First off, happy Monday, everybody. Obviously, great weather in store for us this week. So spring is definitely upon us. So today I'm looking out the backyard here, and it's nice and sunny, and they say mid 50s today. So Ron was asking if the maple sap is flowing, and it absolutely is. So this is a good week for those people in the sugar bush. So, but everybody, hopefully everybody has a good week, and again, it gets an opportunity to maybe go out and enjoy some of the weather. We do have some announcements today, and I did see that pesky little Tom Rumball, where's that guy at, the flag guy? He has a couple of announcements for us. Tom?
Yes, thank you, Justin. We are cruising along with the flag maintenance. We are at about the 1,800 mark as far as flags ready to go. That's the good news. Bad news is we still have about another 1,000 left to go. So we've got a couple more piles to get through. And with that, the next maintenance day, service above self. Next maintenance day is Tuesday, March 16th, 10 to 12. Wayne Bear is gonna be leading that group. And later the day from 4 to 6, I'll be leading the maintenance group. And again, that's Tuesday, March 16th, 10 to 12 and 4 to 6. And if anyone, wants another time, no volunteers are turned down. Another time, another date, let me know. I'm sure we can work something out.
Tom, have you been securing a number of volunteers? Have we been a good club in helping you out here?
Yeah. We've had some good turnout. We could always use more, but yeah, I would name off everyone who is a regular participant. I'd probably leave somebody off, so I'm not going to do any. But thank you for everyone that has been stepping up and helping us get through these flags.
So this last couple months is really important for us. Again, our date for pickup, roughly, Tom, where are we shooting at?
Say that again.
Flag pickup, the rough date. When are you trying to get that done?
To be completely done.
Yep.
Yeah, middle of April would be awesome. Okay.
So folks, yep. we've got one more month. So this March 16th date that Tom talks about is really important. We got 1,000 flags yet to do. So if you can pitch in, reach out to Tom. Make sure that email goes out this week as well, Tom. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I just received a text saying they could help on Tuesday morning flag repair, but my phone did not recognize the person. So whoever that may be, if they could identify themselves so I know who to expect.
Dr. Kiefer.
Is it Alan? Is that you?
It's me, Wayne.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Sure.
Alan.
Thanks, bud.
Sure.
Hey, we are being a little repetitive here, but want to make sure that everybody understands that the 100th anniversary projects are rounding out nicely. They're coming along well. The Founders Tree Grove up at Oak Hill. We do have some pretty good numbers on that as far as budget wise, and Peggy, Lynn, Doug Druschel, that crew, there's more that are helping out, but have done a really good job of putting that project together. So we will present that back to the club before the project begins. But again, just 2 projects up at Oak Hill. The Founders Grove is moving forward and is coming together nicely. If anybody has anything to say there, please share, but it's coming along. You'll have further details in the next couple weeks. And our flagpole project is moving along nicely as well. We are talking about really the concern is the ongoing maintenance of that flag and how we can fund that so that it's not a continual annual drain on the club. So we are working on that. Sandra Hall, thank you so much for your volunteerism and coming forward to kind of bird dog some of that work on setting up those funds. We appreciate it. And Greg Long, I know, has put a lot of time in that. So thank you. Those details will be coming forth to you in the next couple of weeks. Folks, I sent out an email, and I just wanted you to be aware, since we're not meeting in person, the publication that Bob Gorman, and he's on the line, the publication that he did that was in the paper, if you did not secure a hard copy of that, here in my office, we have a couple hundred copies. So we will make sure that you get a hard copy when we either A, reconvene in person, or B, at our 100th anniversary, likely is going to be this fall, folks. If you want them before, feel free to send me a note, give me a call, and you can stop by the office up here on 585. That's where I'm at, and pick one of these things up. But I do want you to know we do have physical copies for every single person. Another piece here, I do want you to know that the board is going to meet here next week. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the projects and funding those. And then also, we are going to have an in-depth conversation about reconvening in person. So we know that that is not going to be for everyone, but we do feel as if that it's time for us to discuss getting back to in person. If that's at the church immediately, we will see. We do have a meeting with the church this week to go over kind of rolling that back out. Or if the church is not ready until a later date, we will likely have discussion at the board for holding in-person meetings at Greystone. I do want everyone to know that I know myself, and then Terry Snoddy and I talked about this on Friday. There is absolutely a commitment to, when we get back to in-person meetings, that we will continue the Zoom aspect. So it'll be a dual meeting, and we will continue to record our meetings and put those on YouTube as well. So I just wanted you to be aware. If there's any cause for concern or any comments on that, feel free to put them in a chat or send your leadership a note. Lynn, myself, Terry, Greg, or Kimberly would probably be the best. Send us a note on your thoughts on reconvening, okay? We would appreciate that. I think that that's all the announcements that I have. I did want to open it up to our membership for either any announcements, or I think we have a couple of guests today. And would anybody like to introduce their guest for us today?
So Justin, I would like to introduce a guest today. Desiree Lutch is on the line. She is the fiscal officer for Ohio State ATI, and she's interested in possibly becoming a member of Rotary. So thanks, Desiree, for joining us today.
Yeah, welcome, Desiree.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, there she is. Okay, perfect.
I see some familiar faces, so.
Hopefully that doesn't push you away from, changing your mind. We've got
Well, and I've heard some good conversation already, so I'm not afraid yet, so.
Good, very good people. Anybody else have any announcements or guests today before we turn things over to Reed Delaney? No? Okay, so we were hesitant here, folks. So you can see that our schedule is that we have classification talks or presentations, and we have 3 on the docket today. And this is a really good opportunity to learn about the new members, or newer members rather. And so without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Reed Delaney, who's going to share his screen and start his presentation.
Thank you.
Looks good, Reed. You're good. Oh, and you're muted there, Reed. 1 second. Let's see. You got to unmute. There you go. Now full screen. Try that.
Can you hear me now?
You're good, man.
Okay, so you can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my screen took over, so I can't really see anyone or see any chat questions. So if you have any, please just feel free to ask. So I wanted to start off with a quick introduction slide that kind of says who I am. Obviously, my name is Reed. I've grown up in Wooster as my hometown, majority of my life. My wife is Elizabeth Delaney. I currently work for the Commercial and Savings Bank as a small business relationship manager. I got my bachelor's in economics and business management from Wilmington College. And then I went on and got my MBA from Capital University. Some things that interest me quite a bit are sports. This one usually doesn't go over well. I'm a big Baltimore Ravens fan. Lacrosse is very important to me. Hiking and spending time with family. I'm also involved in Wayne Center for the Arts. I'll give James Fox a nice little shout out there. And then the Wooster Lacrosse Club as well. So I have not seen any other classification talks, as I've only been a member for a couple months. So mine may be going in a different order, or I may not be, but I'll begin with my work experience and professional information and touch on that. But I'll spend a majority of my time on my personal self. I would like to be kind of defined more than just my job title. And although I love my job and the company I work for, I do prefer to be defined by kind of who I am and what I do outside of my job. So at the end of the day, at the end of this presentation, I would like you to know me, not just as another banker. And one thing I will add before I go any further is lacrosse has played a large role in my life. So you may get sick of hearing that word kind of throughout the presentation, but it's played a large role. So kind of a timeline of my professional career. I started as a sales associate in high school, and some into college. Under the guidance of Christy Van Sickle. Some of you may know her. She was my first supervisor. Learned a lot from her. And then once I went off to college, I had the opportunity to take a director of lacrosse role at an all-boys summer camp in Maine, which became a 3-year dream job for the summers, which allowed me to manage a small department at a young age. And I was able to put together a curriculum that increased participation in the sport by over 50%. And saw 5 tournament championships kind of over that span. And I was able to do this for 3 years before I kind of had to move on and accepted a graduate assistant position with Capital University. And this allowed me to kind of, in exchange for my tuition, I would become a full-time assistant coach for the lacrosse program until graduation from the program. I was an offensive and recruiting assistant there, but I was mainly in charge of our underclassmen and making sure they were passing their classes, which is a lot more challenging than it probably sounds. When those kids get that first taste of freedom, they're kind of off the rails, and my job is to kind of put them back on that track. This job built quite a bit of work ethic, kind of built on that, because every part of your day was planned out. Whether it was getting in at 7, breaking down the film from 7 to 10, meeting with players on that film from 10 to noon, study tables and grade checks 12 to 2, practice planning 2 to 4, practice 4 to 6, and then my own classwork 6 to 9, followed by kind of trying to figure out your own homework situation at that point. So it's kind of that was a nearly everyday experience, an occurrence, and it kind of makes life seem like a little breeze now. It's slowed down a tad. It's kind of nice to have the ability to choose what I want to do. It's also given me the opportunity to participate in a financial analyst competition where our group finished 3rd in the region behind OSU and Cincinnati, and also gave me the opportunity to experience my first championship in college athletics. As a coach, when our team went 14-2 and won the OSU regular season championship. And after finishing up at Capital, I started my, real working career with the Commercial and Savings Bank, where I began as a data analyst through the winter and summers. But the company thought my personality was better working with customers, and I am very glad they took the time to work with me and figure out that is my passion, is kind of working with people, but also diving into the financial and numbers aspect of things. So I did a stint in credit as a training vehicle to help me prepare for commercial lending. And I'm currently a small business relationship manager, which essentially means I'm doing all things PPP at the moment, as well as small business lending and any other needs that our small businesses or prospects may have. The hope is to one day become a commercial lender. In my role, I have an outstanding mentor in Alicia Wallace, another person who many of you probably heard of and has been instrumental in my learning and evolution kind of as a banker. It is a great positive influence. She is so active in the community, and I could not be more thankful to have her as my mentor to help me grow in my banking career. And working at the bank, one thing I really love that kind of makes me passionate about being here is they encourage my desire to be involved in the community and accept that. And I have a passion for volunteering, so it's really nice to have their support. And kind of diving into that, just a brief history of my volunteering in high school. I know it seems like a curse word at this point, but nearly every Kiwanis event I was always in. My mom has been actively involved in Kiwanis and still is, and she'd always take me to those. Volunteering is kind of a stretch. When I was up until about 8, it was more like voluntold. Just don't think she'd trust me not to burn the house down alone. So I was always accompanying, but that helped kind of grow into appreciating volunteering and helping out where I can, which led me to be a reading partner at Parkville Elementary School, which is where I went. I always looked up to those kids, so I wanted to be that role model for someone else. Into college, I won a National Community Service Award with my organization that I was the president of as a student athlete. We had Trick or Treat to Eat, which briefly explain that is we put out flyers kind of week before and then go around on Halloween in our athletic apparel, let them know what team we were involved with. And while they were already outside giving out candy to kids, they were aware and would have typically bags of canned goods and other non-perishable items for us to take with us to the soup kitchen, as well as just those homeless shelters. So it was really nice to have that, as well as local elementary school partnerships. We'd supply athletes as teaching assistants, reading partners, mentors, anything we could think of that would help out. And then we'd put on a clinic once a month, different sports each time, or I'm sorry, once a quarter, to have a free after school program for kids that want to try new sports, but may not be able to afford it or just may not have the opportunity to do so. And we supply those free to the kids with our athletes going in there and teaching them how to play the sport, and as well as just being there for them. Which leads me to present day. I'm an O-Huddle mentor, Wayne Center for the Arts board member, and the Wooster Lacrosse Club, which has been a large majority of my time. I'm just really passionate about lacrosse. I love those kids. I love making an impact in their lives. So that's been very large for me. And I think that gives a great start about who I am. And continuing on that, I'd like to put the spotlight on the people that have raised me and that are kind of by my side now. So I'll start with my wife. I met her. Yes, she is my beautiful wife. I'm very pleased with just having her in my life. We met in September of 2015 and knew each other for 3 weeks before we began dating. And almost 5.5 years later, meeting her has still been the biggest blessing in my life. We recently got married in September of 2020, and she is currently in the sales operation department at Great Lakes Cheese in Hiram. And continuing on that, as for my parents, my dad has managed to avoid the Wooster spotlight, kind of working outside of the area for the last 25 years. And he is now the marketing director at Daniel's Amish. And one that I think, continuing on my parents, one I think most people know, and I guess in this circle, is my mom, Judy, and her husband, Bob. My mom has taught me a lot. She's been with Goodwill. I think I Googled this yesterday, about 18 years as the CEO. So she's taught me so much about giving back, and watching her at a young age, always willing to go that extra mile, be active in the community, and doing all those things to make an impact. I've just learned so much from her and all of that, wanting to be part of the service organization to make a difference. I've learned so much from both of my parents. And with my mom, I just hope to have a portion of that impact that she has had over the course of her career. I hope to kind of be able to put my stamp on the city in that sense as well. And then someone else in both those pictures is my brother, Grant. He had some stints in Wooster and a couple of jobs. But as of recently, officially, he is a police officer for the city of Wooster, city of Pittsburgh. And I could not be more proud of him, kind of chasing that dream he's had after like 5, 6, 7 months with COVID and training. He's finally been able to pass everything, and he started about 2 months ago as an official police officer. So very proud of everything he's done. Moving forward, kind of the younger Wooster years, gotta love the pictures in there. As a little tyke on the left, I started in the Wooster lacrosse program as like a little bobblehead. I don't even know what age that is. But was always very dedicated in lacrosse and sports and just being a part of kind of that athletic community. And it's driven me so much, just be a part. I was able to volunteer, do the mulch day, ring bells, all these different things that athletics kind of helped me ease into. Very appreciative of my time in Wooster. And as you're younger, you don't necessarily appreciate the small town feel and everything that goes on, and just that sense of security you have in the people you know and that support system. So I left for college, only about 2.5 hours away. I kind of move on to that time away. I went to Wilmington College in Southern Ohio, played 4 years of lacrosse, which is kind of what helped me grow the most. I went to a small school that gave me the ability to be a leader and more opportunities in that leadership role, to kind of make that impact. And I learned that it's really not so bad in a small community. Wilmington was a small school, learning that this isn't so bad. And I do love where I came from, and I want to make that same impact that I made at Wilmington, but back in my hometown as I've gotten older. And the second picture on the right is just us, the trick or treat to eat, going out there, raising the canned goods, and just doing what we could to help the community as a whole. And continuing that, like I said, I went to a summer camp in Maine. One of the main things this taught me was kind of like why my parents said, "Because I told you so." When you're with the same group of kids for 7 weeks over the course of that summer, they don't have phones, they can't go home. They're all sent there from wonderful families, just learning, be patient. And when you're around a bunch of kids, there's nothing you can be besides yourself. So you really just have a blast kind of learning who you are and becoming very happy and proud of who you've become and just being yourself. That was a dream job, being 3 years away in Maine, getting paid to work with kids, coach lacrosse, hike, travel. It was a wonderful experience. And all that led me to the ability to coach at Capital University, which just taught me, again, so much about how to work with people, talk to the kids, coach. There's a difference between coaching and yelling, teaching and screaming. You learn all these things as a coach. You need to be able to teach, create those relationships with the kids, so they can come with you with any questions. And just learning how to build on those relationships has been very important, and lifelong appreciation I'll have for that program. And then from there, me and my wife have, like I said earlier, a passion for traveling. That's been big for us. These are some of our vacation pictures from, we went to Glacier National Park in Yellowstone after we've had some time together, and just loved the time to kind of escape the big or the small town and just kind of see what's out there. And through all that traveling, through all that time away at Wilmington, Capital, all those things kind of led me all back to Wooster and this area. I don't take a lot of pictures in Wooster, but the ones I do have are all of me coaching. As you can see on the picture to the right, very level-headed with the kids, very calm, but I'm very passionate with just the coaching and being back and being able to be part of a program, to be able to put my footprint and stamp on the Wooster lacrosse program, and just hopefully make a point or impact in some of these kids' lives. Maybe give them a mentor or someone they can come to with any problems, but just kind of instill that discipline and work ethic in them. If you can see the long-haired kid in the middle picture all the way to the right, that is Steve. That's Webby's youngest grandchild, Freddie Webster. Just nice to coach some of the grandkids of some of the members here. But as I said, all of those experiences, everything about me has led me back to coming to Wooster and giving back to that same community that gave me so much, that put so much trust and confidence in me, that I look to do the same thing for other kids and other working adults around the area, just wanting to make that impact. And that's where I'm at today. So I'll kind of take it, if there's any personal or any questions about any of that, there's my contact info as well. I didn't really know how to end it, but yeah, if there's any questions, I'd love to hear any questions or comments.
Well, Reed, nicely done, man. Good presentation. That's exactly the format. Quick overview of yourself. One note that I noted here, Reed, was any bankers in the room. You know, you said you're currently working at CSB. So if there's other banks that may want your
No. Very happy with where I am.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's awesome. We're so glad you're part of the CSB team. What a great organization, and your family, you're being active in Wooster. We're just glad that you picked Rotary over that Kiwanis, man. So welcome aboard, bud.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Up next is Connie Higgins. Connie, or we'll see if you can share your screen with us. And
I do not have a PowerPoint. if
okay, that's
okay.
fine. That's perfect.
All right, I feel bad, and Reed really set the bar high there, but
No worries.
so I'm just gonna, share about my life. So good afternoon. I grew up in a small town here in Ohio, Coshocton, Ohio. Born and raised there, the youngest of 6 children. My mom has passed away, but my dad is still alive. He's 90 years old and still going strong, remarried and living in the southern part of Ohio at the moment. But born and raised in Coshocton, attended the Salvation Army all my life as my church. I grew up in the Salvation Army. My mom before me grew up in the Salvation Army. Her parents before her. So I figure I'm probably like a 3rd or 4th generation Salvationist is what they're called if you go to the Salvation Army. So I grew up in the Salvation Army as my church, received a calling in my teen years to be a minister and using the avenue of the Salvation Army to fulfill that calling. So at the age of 20, this small town girl from Ohio went to seminary in New York, Suffern, New York, which is just north of New York City, and did my training there 2 years in Suffern, New York at the School for Officers Training for the Salvation Army. Right out of training college, I then went to an appointment. My first appointment was in New Rochelle, New York, which is a suburb of New York City. So again, I'm kind of a shock for me. I'm a small town girl, was not prepared for a New York appointment. A year later, I then was moved to Queens, New York, which was another culture shock for me. So that was a great experience. The year and a half. In March of 1988, I married my husband, Tim. We met in seminary previously. He's from upstate New York. So March of 1988, after we were married, I joined him in Athens, Ohio, where he was stationed. And we spent 6.5 years in Athens, Ohio with the Salvation Army. Both of our children were born there. We have two children, now adults. Our son and his wife, our son Ed and his wife Jessica live in Columbus, and have our only grandchild, Henry, soon to be another grandchild on the way. And our daughter Alex and her husband Cody live in Reynoldsburg. So both of our children, grown adults, successful in what they're doing. So we spent 6.5 years in Athens, Ohio. Then we moved to Columbus and spent 10 years there in a couple of different appointments with the Salvation Army. Our kids have spent a lot of time in Ohio, in Columbus. Our son considered that his home, so he later attended Capital University, graduated from there, and our daughter attended Ashland University. 10 years in Columbus, and then we moved to Bucyrus, Ohio. In each of these appointments, we were pastoring the Salvation Army churches there. So 6 years we spent in Bucyrus, Ohio, and again, I loved it. It was a small town, my kind of place, and it was a great experience. Smaller town, and we had the Army loved the Salvation Army, so we had a great experience there. After 6 years in Bucyrus, we moved to Findlay, Ohio. And that was kind of a transition because my husband had a passion to work in, his college training was in finance. So he had a passion to go into the finance work of the Salvation Army. So we spent a couple years in Findlay before something opened up for us in that department. And then after Findlay, we went to Syracuse, New York, and got out of the church pastor role and went into the administrative side of the Salvation Army. My husband did finance for 5 years there, and then I was working with older adults and senior citizens at summer camp and that kind of thing. After 5 years in Syracuse, we were transferred again then to Hartford, Connecticut for 3 years. And again, still in the finance, my husband was still doing finance, and I continued working with older adults in my role. Then last August, in the middle of COVID, well, probably last March, we found out we were going to be moving, and we were okay with that. We were ready for a change, and but in the middle of COVID, we were moving, which was kind of a strange in itself. The moving was not strange. We were very used to that, but the move time was different. So in August, we arrived here in Wooster. To again take on the role of being pastors and administrators at the Salvation Army here in Worcester. The Salvation Army, has taught us a lot of things, and we've had a lot of experiences. And even though we were passionate about like the finance department and working with the older adults, I mean, we feel more fitted to the role that we're in now, working with the local, a congregation, and working with our local unit here. Currently, we now here in Worcester, we have a homeless shelter, so we're full on busy with that. And we have a senior group that we're trying to get back, because of COVID, none of our programs are running in our church side, but hoping to get that back soon. Yeah, so that's where we are today. This is where I am. I'm back here in back in Ohio. Very happy to be back in Ohio because we were so far from our kids, and 10 hours away from our kids and when we were in Hartford. But we were very happy to, when we found out we were moving to Ohio, and being in Worcester, we love it. I love it. It's a small town. It's very comfortable here, and we've been very welcomed. And I did want to say, though, I had been a Rotarian before. When we were in Bucyrus, I joined the Rotary Club. My husband's always been a Kiwanian since, probably since the time when we lived in Athens. But as our kids moved out, got out of the house, I had more time to give to the community. So when we were in Bucyrus, I joined the Rotary Club and had a great experience. So, not new to the Rotary scene, but eager to be involved and see what I can contribute to the community.
Excellent. Thank you, Connie. That's quite the resume. You've been all over the place, Connie. You've moved a couple of times, right?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, a few times.
And it definitely takes a special person to assume that role. It's a very important role in our community, and we appreciate you being here. I can tell you that you moved here in August, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you really haven't had the opportunity to really experience Worcester without the COVID-19 restrictions. And I think obviously we all think you'll be extremely impressed with the community engagement that we have, and all the members that will gladly accept you as a member and pull you in. So
thank you.
Absolutely. Nicely done, Connie.
Thank
and lastly is Tammy. Tammy Lieber, you are up, and I don't know if you're doing a slide presentation or not. You are muted, which is fine.
Yes.
There
yes,
you go. Yeah,
I do have a slide presentation, so I will share
we'll
my
see if Terry
screen.
can cue you up.
Let's see.
Down below. And while you're doing that, Tammy, our numbers were good today. We're right around 70 people. So.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Okay, so about me.
Tammy, not to interrupt you, but if you want to go up to the upper left-hand corner and hit from beginning.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
No problem. There you go.
Okay, great. Okay, so a little bit about me. So I am currently the Vice President of Human Resources with the Village Network. We are a behavioral health care facility that works with at-risk children and their families. We are actually celebrating our 75th year anniversary. I have been with the Village Network for about 1.5 years and am completely enjoying it. Love the work that we do. We have probably 20 plus facilities throughout the state of Ohio, and children are just really important to me, which probably the majority of my presentation is on my kids. So you'll get that experience. I have over 29 years of experience in human resources, with 20 of those being in the not-for-profit arena. I worked at the Crisis Intervention and Recovery Center for about 12 years, close to 13 actually, and that was in Canton, Ohio. I actually reside in Uniontown, the Hartville Uniontown area of Ohio. I don't have a lot of experience of Wooster. I'm looking forward to being involved in the Rotary and just kind of getting out and about in Wooster to learn more about it. I have driven through it a lot of times, but I haven't spent a ton of time there. So I will look forward to that as well. Also, some of my experiences within manufacturing and also the services industry. I spent some time in the electric utility industry. We were a quasi-regulator for the electric utility industry, so that was interesting. And I've also worked for a locker and shelving facility that had the Steelworkers Union in it, and spent some time at Merritt Woodworking, where they do really high-end woodworking. So kind of a broad range of industries that I've worked in, but always in human resources, which I love. I feel like it's just like my niche. I received my MBA from Kent State University in 2017, actually. Decided to start an executive MBA program when I was 50. So, I don't know, my education has been sporadic and ongoing. I got my bachelor degree of business management in 2009 and an associate of applied business in management information systems in 1994. So one thing that has been consistent with me is continuing my education. I also hold several certifications, professional of human resources, the SHRM CP. I'm also a registered corporate coach, which I find very handy in just my overall work that I do. Change management specialist and project management qualified. So that's a little bit about me and some of my experience and what I've done over the last few years. But now some of the other info that isn't necessarily specific to my my field of study, I guess you would say. I've spent most of my life working, learning, and raising my girls. I'm a single mom and have been for, 10 or 12 years, I guess. I was a fitness instructor for about 11 years and held several fitness certifications, taught several classes. I haven't taught for probably about 5 years, but I did that for a long time. I have served on the SHRM board, the Akron chapter, and also on the Kent State Executive MBA alumni board. I've always lived in Ohio. I grew up in Akron and moved to the Canton area when I was about 18. And probably, I guess, one of my biggest travel, I went to India for a couple of weeks as part of my executive MBA program, which was very cool. I learned a lot of just a real appreciation for being born in the United States and how lucky we are. So, but now to the best stuff, which is being a mom and a Grammy. So I am the mother to these 3 beauties, my daughters, ages 27, 24, and 21. And they are the absolute loves of my life. My youngest, Cassie, she actually just graduated from Malone University with a bachelor in biology, and she's planning to be a physician assistant. My middle daughter just graduated last summer with her nursing degree, and she obtained her RN licensure in June. Incredibly proud of her. She just got engaged this past July to Mac, who he's been in our family for 9 years almost they've been dating. So they're planning to get married in 2022. They have no kids yet, of course, but they do have 2 dogs whom they love and are my grandpuppies. So, and this is my oldest, Lacey, and she is a state tested dental assistant. She's actually going to college right now. Will graduate in May and sit for her expanded function dental auxiliary board exam. She's married to Andrew, who he's an electrician and a great son-in-law. I just love him. But of course, one of my most favorite people in the whole world is my grandson, Bentley. I love that face every time I see it. So he is going to be 4 in June. So yeah. And then this is my other favorite guy, Bob. This is us on some of our travels and things that we've done. A little bit about my hobbies. So obviously I love spending time with my loved ones and my family. I love going out to eat. We have still, even with COVID, we've been going out to restaurants. As soon as they would let us in, we're there, man. So I do love to walk and work out, reading or listening to my books on Audible, drinking coffee and wine, and no, not together, but I love both of those things. And I also love helping others. So my hope now that I'm a little bit later in life and my kids are grown up, that I can give back a little bit to the communities that I work within and that I live within, and spend time with my family and kind of do some of the things that I love to do. So that's a little bit about me. And with that, I want to thank you for your time, for listening to me, and I'm looking forward to networking with the group and becoming more involved. So thank you.
Tammy, well done. I will tell you that obviously you get an opportunity to acclimate yourself in Wooster. Hopefully that's going to be a good experience in your life. You should be very proud of yourself to raise, it looks like, 3 very, very successful young ladies, and to continue to learn along the way. And you said an MBA after the age of 50, is that correct?
Yes.
That's what. Yep. So a lifelong learner we have here, Tammy.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you being a part of Wooster Rotary, and we can't wait to acclimate you into the community. So well done.
Thank you.
Reed, Connie, Tammy, you guys knocked it out of the park. We've got about 5 minutes. If there's any questions for these 3, feel free to ask them live or put them in chat. And if I don't hear anything, I've got one announcement on the way out. So I will tell you that was the first time we have ever done classification talks via Zoom. And I was a skeptic, but I will tell you, you guys did really, really well. So nicely done today. Very interesting stuff.
Thank you.
Seeing that we have no questions, we are going to kick it over to Tom Rumball, who's going to do one last plea for us. Right, Tom?
Sure. I just sent out a chat to everyone. Again, flag maintenance days, Tuesday, March 16th, 10 to 12 and 4 to 6 p.m. Contact myself or Wayne Bear. Like I say, no volunteers are ever turned down. If there's another day, or if you want to get a group of people together to do your own exclusive flag maintenance, I'm not going to turn you down, and I'll unlock the door for you.
Perfect. And then Don Noble, who puts he's our quarterly program chair. Don, what do you have for us next week, man?
Yeah, my echoes, my same sentiments to the classification talks. Great guy, great job, all 3 of you. Next week's program will be an update from our Wayne County engineer. It's been a long time since we've had a Wayne County engineer, I think, give a program. So Scott Miller will give us an update of what's happening here in Wayne County regarding the engineer's office.
All right, exciting. All right, does anybody have anything else for the good of the order? No? Seeing none, everybody have yourself a blessed week and enjoy the weather this week. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.